"Stop lying," the bride snarled, shoving the dirt-covered girl to the floor. "Leon is my husband. You are nothing." The girl's voice trembled. "He's my father. Leon Sterling is my father. Please allow me to see him." Gasps. Silence. And in that moment, the perfect wedding began to burn. Who was this homeless, broken girl? And why would she risk humiliation to crash a billionaire's wedding with such a claim? Stay and watch the truth tear this perfect day apart. The full story. The afternoon sun beat down on the dusty street, but Maya barely felt it. Hunger had been gnawing at her stomach since morning, a dull ache she had long learned to ignore. For the past 8 years she had made a habit of hanging around the big event centre in town. Weddings, birthdays, company parties. There was always food, and sometimes, if she was lucky, the caterers would hand her a plate of leftovers before throwing them away. That day seemed no different. As she limped towards the golden gates of the Crystal Palace Event Centre, the sound of live music spilled into the street, soft jazz mixed with the laughter of well-fed guests. The smell of roasted chicken and fresh pastries wrapped around her like a cruel invitation. She could almost taste it. She was just about to slip past the gate when a shadow stepped in front of her. "Where do you think you're going?" the security guard barked, folding his huge arms across his chest. His uniform was spotless, his dark sunglasses hiding eyes that already judged her from head to toe. Maya forced a small smile. "Please, I'm hungry. I just want to eat. I won't cause any trouble." The guard's lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Do I look like the Ministry of Charity to you? This is a private event. Invitation card or you're not going anywhere." She swallowed. "I don't have one. But nothing," he cut her off sharply. "Move aside. You're scaring the rich people." His partner, leaning lazily on the gate, chuckled. "Look at her clothes. You think she's here for food? Maybe she came to marry the groom." He laughed at his own joke. Maya felt her cheeks burn. She turned to leave, shame pressing down on her like a heavy blanket. Then her eyes caught something on the wall beside the gate. It was a poster. Big, glossy, and almost glowing under the sunlight. She froze. There was a smiling bride in a dazzling white gown, and beside her, holding her hand, was a man. Her breath caught in her throat. The man. The face she had seen in her dreams. The stormy grey eyes she thought she'd never see again. Her legs went weak. The world tilted. And then, like a dam breaking, the memories came flooding back. Her name. Her home. The smell of the garden after the rain. The sound of his deep laugh when he lifted her into the air. Her father. "That's him," she whispered, her voice trembling. The guards exchanged glances. "What did you say?" one asked, raising an eyebrow. Maya stepped closer to the poster, her eyes never leaving the man's face. "That's my father. He's my father!" Her voice rose, raw and shaking. "I wanted to see him!" The guard snorted. "Your father? That's Mr. Leon Sterling. He owns half the city. You own half a torn slipper. Try another story." But Maya was beyond hearing their sarcasm. She was trembling, her heart slamming against her ribs. "He's my father! I know it! I remember everything! I need to see him now!" Her scream cut through the air, sharp enough to draw stares from guests arriving in sleek black cars. Whispers began, curious heads turning towards the gate. And there, at the edge of the glittering celebration, the chaos began. An uninvited beggar girl claiming to be the billionaire groom's daughter. The guards moved to shove her back. Cameras from nosy guests clicked. The laughter inside the hall faltered. And far away inside the event centre, the man in the poster had no idea that the daughter he buried in his heart years ago was standing just outside, covered in dust, ready to shatter his perfect day. The commotion at the gate grew louder. Maya's desperate cries were now mixing with the low hum of scandalized whispers. Guests in glittering gowns and expensive suits slowed their steps, curiosity shining in their eyes. Guards tried to push her away, but she clung to the bars of the gate, her thin fingers white with strain. "Please, I just want to see him. He's my father," she shouted, her voice cracking. The bride appeared. Vanessa Drake, radiant in her flowing white gown, dripping in diamonds that caught the sunlight like shards of ice. Her smile was tight, her eyes cold. She was followed by two bridesmaids, all perfect makeup and mocking smirks. "What's going on here?" Vanessa asked, her voice sugar-coated but sharp enough to cut glass. The guard stepped forward. "Ma'am, this street rat says she's Mr. Sterling's daughter." He said it like it was the punchline to a joke. Vanessa's brows lifted. Then she turned her gaze on Maya, letting it travel from her tangled hair to her bleeding feet. She tilted her head, the way someone might when studying a dead insect. "You?" she said, her voice dripping with disbelief. "You think Leon Sterling is your father? Did you find that idea at the bottom of a trash bin too?" Some guests laughed. Others gasped. Maya's face burned, but she stood straighter. "I'm telling the truth. I remember him. I remember everything." The marble path. She leaned in, her perfume a dizzying mix of roses and venom. "Listen carefully," she said softly, but loud enough for everyone to hear. "Today is my wedding day. I will not have some flea-bitten street urchin ruin it with filthy lies." Maya flinched at the venom in her tone. "I'm not lying." The slap came fast and hard. The sound cracked through the air like a whip. Maya's head snapped to the side, her cheek burning. Gasps rippled through the crowd. "Take her away," Vanessa ordered, her smile cruel and triumphant, "and make sure she doesn't crawl back here like the stray she is." The guards grabbed Maya's arms, but she fought, her voice desperate, breaking. Dad, please, it's me!" Vanessa laughed, light, cold, and terrible. "Your father? Sweetheart, the only thing you were born to is hunger." Then her face flushed with rage, her chest rising and falling rapidly. She leaned close to the head of security, her lips barely moving as she whispered into his ear. Whatever she said hit him like a slap. His eyes flew open, his jaw tightening. Vanessa stood beside them, serene as a queen on her throne, her lips curved in that dangerous, controlled smile. "I don't want any scandal," she murmured, her voice low but dripping with authority. "Before the news gets to the public and twists into something ugly, we handle this properly." The man gave a curt nod. Without hesitation, he turned on his heel, marching toward the trembling girl. In one swift movement, his massive hand closed around her wrist. "Let me go!" she cried, twisting in his grip. Panic sharpened her voice until it cracked. "Don't take me away from my dad again. Please, please." But the security man didn't slow, didn't speak. His grip was iron, his eyes cold. The guests gasped as he dragged her across the marble floor, her shoes scraping, her pleas echoing through the glittering hall. Vanessa didn't move to stop him. She only nodded, as if approving a piece of fine art. The girl's sobs grew fainter as the heavy doors slammed shut behind them. Vanessa's smile deepened. In that moment it was clear, this wasn't kindness. This was strategy. The crowd began to murmur louder. Phones came out, some recording the scene. Inside, beyond the music and the flowers, Leon Sterling was smiling for the cameras, unaware that the little girl he had mourned years ago was being thrown into the dust just outside his perfect fairy tale. Soft violins playing. Then the priest cleared his throat. "Now, exchange your vows." Vanessa smiled sweetly at Leon, her eyes glistening with what everyone thought was love but was really calculation. Just as Leon was about to speak, Stanley, the best man, leaned in, his voice low but urgent. "Sir, you have an urgent message on your phone. It needs your attention immediately." Leon frowned. "That can wait." Stanley's voice sharpened. "Please, see it first before you take the vow. It can't wait." Reluctantly, Leon slipped his phone from his pocket and tapped the screen. One glance, and his blood turned to ice. There it was, on every trending news feed, blurry but painfully clear. A dirty, tear-stained girl screaming at the top of her lungs, "I want to see my dad!" And in the same clip, Vanessa in her wedding gown, snarling like a predator, ordering the security, "Take her away!" The hall's warm air suddenly felt suffocating. Leon's grip on the phone tightened, veins standing out in his neck. His chest rose and fell faster. The priest looked confused. "Mr. Leon?" Leon slowly raised his head, his eyes no longer soft, no longer in love, just frozen, deadly shock locking them on Vanessa. And Vanessa, still smiling, unaware that the perfect wedding she had fought for was about to shatter into dust. Leon's voice sliced through the silence, raw and shaking with fury. "Vanessa!" He stepped forward, each word dripping with venom. "Where is my daughter? Where is Maya? My beloved daughter?" The hall froze. Guests turned in unison, eyes wide, whispers colliding like waves. "Daughter!" The priest blinked, clearly rattled, his hands trembling on the Bible. Vanessa's painted smile faltered. She gave a quick, breathy laugh, waving a hand like she could swat away the moment. "Leon, what are you talking about? Daughter? This isn't the place." "Answer me!" Leon's roar thundered across the church, making the flower girl drop her basket in fright. "Where is Maya?" The whispers grew into a restless hum. The violinists lowered their instruments. Phones were already being raised, recording every second. I don't know who you mean," Vanessa stammered, eyes darting to the cameras, then to the guests. Leon's breathing grew harsher, his face hard as stone. He turned toward the congregation, voice booming. "Everyone here, listen to me. While you were all smiling and watching this wedding, my child was being dragged away by security on her orders." He jabbed a finger toward Vanessa. Gasps erupted. People stood from their seats. Some guests whispered to each other, others openly glared at Vanessa. Without another word, Leon spun on his heel and stormed down the aisle, ignoring the priest's feeble, "Mr. Leon, please." The doors slammed open with a bang, the sound echoing like a gunshot. Outside, the sun hit him, but the fire in his veins didn't cool. He spotted 2 bulky security men lingering near the gate. "Where is my daughter?" he bellowed, charging toward them. One guard shifted uneasily. "Sir, we were instructed." Leon seized him by the shirt, shaking him like a rag doll. "Told by Becho. Where did you take her?" The man's eyes flicked nervously toward the back of the property. "They took her behind the hall." Leon shoved him aside and bolted toward the back, his footsteps pounding like war drums, the noise of the scandal still roaring behind him in the church. The church erupted like a shaken bottle of champagne. Gasps turned into whispers, whispers into loud mutterings, then full-blown shouting. Guests stood from their seats, necks craning, murmuring to one another, "Daughter? He has a daughter?" The cameras, meant to capture a perfect wedding, were now swiveling wildly to catch every juicy second of the unfolding scandal. Vanessa's carefully painted smile cracked, her eyes darting like a cornered animal. Her bridesmaids looked frozen, unsure whether to comfort her or step back and avoid the shame. The priest raised his voice, trying to restore order. "Please, brethren, let's calm down." But his words were drowned by the crowd's uproar. Leon's footsteps pounded against the wet gravel as he raced past the churchyard, ignoring the shouts behind him. His breath came in sharp bursts, fury and fear blending into a single unstoppable force. The warehouse loomed in the distance, an old forgotten skeleton of a building, its broken windows staring like hollow eyes. He reached the rusted door and slammed his shoulder into it once, twice, until the lock gave way with a shriek of metal. Inside, the air was thick with dust and decay. A faint, trembling voice floated from the darkness. "Dad! Daddy! Daddy!" Leon's chest tightened as his eyes adjusted. There she was, Maya, curled in a corner, hair tangled, face streaked with tears and grime. Her hands trembled as she tried to sit up. He dropped to his knees beside her, his voice breaking. "I searched everywhere for you, my dear. I never stopped. Please forgive me." Maya's lips quivered in a weak smile, but before another word could escape her, her eyes rolled back and she went limp in his arms. "No, no, no! Maya, stay with me, baby girl!" Leon's voice shattered the silence. His crew, who had caught up, froze for half a second before springing into action. "Call an ambulance, now!" one of them barked, already fumbling for his phone. Leon clutched her tighter, rocking her as if the movement alone could keep her heart beating. The sirens wailed in the distance, but to Leon, every second felt like a lifetime. "Maya! Stay with me, please!" His voice cracked, trembling as he shook her gently. Her hand was cold, too cold, and her breathing came in shallow, uneven gasps. His crew hovered, their faces pale with panic. One removed his jacket to wrap her shivering body, another kept shouting into the radio for the ambulance to hurry. Leon's tears fell freely, landing on her small cheeks. "I promised I'd never leave you. I promised." His chest heaved, his mind replaying every moment he'd searched, every sleepless night, every dead-end rise. Just then, the paramedics burst in, but Leon refused to let go until they gently pried her from his arms, sliding an oxygen mask over her face. He followed them out, stumbling, his hands covered in dust and blood. As they loaded her into the ambulance, he climbed in beside her, gripping her tiny fingers. "I'm right here, Maya. I'm not letting go. Not ever again." The doors slammed shut, and the ambulance sped away, leaving behind the dark, silent warehouse and the nightmare he'd never forget. 48 hours later. Maya lay on the bed, freshly clean but still frail, her face ghostly pale against the white pillow. Her eyes fluttered open slowly, and when they found Leon's, a fragile smile trembled on her lips. "Daddy," her voice cracked, each word feeling like it cost her strength. "Where is my mommy?" Leon froze. He swallowed hard, but the lump in his throat was too big to speak around. And then the tears came. Hot, unrelenting, blurring his vision until the sight of her face was just a haze. He leaned forward, his hand clutching hers like a lifeline. "Your mom, Maya, she couldn't stand the pain when you disappeared." His voice shook, breaking in places. "For 3 years I searched. We searched everywhere, turned the whole world upside down and found nothing. She fell sick, Maya. The grief, it ate her alive. Her health got worse and worse until one day I watched her." His voice cracked to a whisper. "Give up the ghost right in front of me in the hospital." Maya's lips trembled. Her chest rose and fell quickly as her tears spilled freely. "No, no, Daddy, no." She turned her face into the pillow, muffling the sound, but her small shoulders shook violently. After a long silence, broken only by their sobs, she lifted her gaze again. "Daddy, that day, the day I went missing. Mom dropped me at school early in the morning. She was on her way to the airport. I gave her a long list of everything I wanted her to buy for me from the States. She laughed. She promised to bring it all." Maya's eyes went distant, lost in memory. "She told me my driver would pick me up after school. And so I waited, Dad. I waited like forever. The schoolyard got empty, the sun started going down, but my driver didn't come." Leon's face twisted in anguish. "Maya." Her voice grew smaller, more fragile. "I thought maybe something happened. So I decided to take a public bus home. I thought it was harmless, just one bus. But Dad, that's all I remember. That's all." She swallowed, glancing at the ceiling as if searching for words. "The next thing I knew, I was somewhere else, with other children. We were there for years. The old man who kept us, he was mean, but we survived. Then one day he died, just like that. And all of us ran, running blindly toward the town." Leon's jaw tightened, his eyes glistening. "But Dad, when I got into the town, I realized I couldn't remember anything about myself anymore. No name, no family, nothing. My head was empty." Her voice wavered. "So I started moving from one event place to another, picking leftovers, begging for food. And then that same thing that happened at your wedding venue, until I looked up at the poster." Her breath hitched, and there you were. Leon's chest heaved. His large, calloused hands cupped her small, cold ones. They both leaned into each other, holding on like the world might snatch them apart again. Their tears mingled, falling on the blanket. "I'm sorry, Dad," Maya sobbed, her fingers tightening in his. "It's my fault, everything. I caused it all, just because I got on the wrong bus." Leon's voice was thick, almost unrecognizable. No, my girl. The wrong bus didn't take you away from me. Evil people did." The room went still, except for the sound of their breathing. Two broken souls finally holding each other after years of being torn apart. Meanwhile, Since after the event, Vanessa has locked herself up in her house, calculating her next move. Her chest rose and fell like a woman being hunted. How? How dare she? She hissed through clenched teeth, pacing like a caged tiger. That demonic daughter, just waltzing back into his life on my wedding day? Just before I say yes, I do? Her heels clicked furiously on the marble floor, every step a heartbeat of rage. She grabbed a champagne glass from the table and hurled it against the wall. It shattered, the sound echoing like a gunshot through the room. Then, buzz! Buzz! Her phone lit up. The name on the screen made her stomach knot. She hesitated, licking her dry lips before answering. I gave you everything for this assignment, the man's voice roared through the speaker. Every detail, every resource, and this is how you repay me? A mess, a disaster, just minutes before the real deal. I'm sorry, sir. Vanessa's voice dropped to a soft, calculated tone, almost submissive. I tried my best, but she came back, his cursed daughter, unannounced. You have to understand. I don't care about your excuses, he cut in, voice sharp enough to slice skin. You were supposed to eliminate the problem, not create new ones. By now, we should be finalizing his funeral, not watching him smile in his mansion. You disappoint me, Vanessa. Her throat tightened. Sir, please. You have 12 hours to secure his wealth, not a minute more. If you fail, prepare to go down with him. The line went dead. Vanessa sat frozen for a moment, phone still pressed to her ear, listening to the silence. Then her lips curved into a slow, venomous smile. Leon Sterling, she whispered, her voice dripping with promise. I'm coming for you, and this time, no one will save you. In less than 2 hours. On every major news channel and trending on social media is a grainy but clear enough clip of Maya sitting in a dimly lit room, her hair messy, face pale, voice trembling as she says, Leon Sterling is not my father. He bought me from a homeless mother for money. I was never adopted legally. I was a prisoner in his mansion, humiliated, beaten. That's why I ran away. Leon Sterling has caught me again. If you're watching this, help me. I'm in hiding. The clip ends with muffled sobs and a shaky hand covering her face. Within hours, hashtags like Justice for Maya and Leon Sterling exposed everywhere. News anchors replay the video in slow motion, analysts break it down, and some of Leon's top business partners freeze all deals until the matter is cleared. Leon's in his home study office when the video plays on the big news screen. His coffee cup slips from his hand. The room tilts as he stares at the screen like it's swallowing him whole. His mind is screaming, No, Maya, why would you say this? Phone calls flood in. Journalists camp outside his mansion. His board members demand explanations. And by the time Maya herself rushes in, confused and insisting she never made such a video, Leon's BP spikes dangerously high. Maya's hands shook slightly as she held her phone to her ear. Doctor, please, it's urgent, she pleaded, her voice trembling but determined. Within minutes, the emergency team rushed in, their white coats flapping as they surrounded Leon's hospital bed. Beeping monitors filled the room, nurses adjusting drips, one checking his pulse, another flashing a penlight across his eyes. But Maya wasn't going to stop there. She stepped into the hallway, her voice turning sharp. Get me the family lawyer. Now, she barked into the phone. I wasn't the woman in that video. I want to know who she is and why she's impersonating me. Her jaw was tight, her eyes glistening, not with tears, but with a fire that promised war. Meanwhile, Vanessa stepped out of the elevator in her designer heels, her hair perfectly styled, her face the picture of concern. She clutched a bouquet of flowers in one hand and a crocodile smile on her lips. I'm here to see Leon, she told the nurse at the reception desk, lowering her voice just enough to sound intimate. I'm his fiancée. His daughter's not around right now, so I'm here to watch over him. The nurse hesitated. Family only. I am family, Vanessa cut in smoothly, her voice dripping with charm. He needs me. The nurse sighed and finally waved her in. Fine, but don't disturb him. Vanessa entered the room, her perfume curling into the air like an invisible trap. She set the flowers down and glanced at Leon's unconscious face. My poor darling, she whispered, feigning heartbreak. Then, from her handbag, she pulled out a sleek brown folder. She flipped it open, revealing neatly arranged documents with sticky tabs marking exactly where he needed to sign, or rather, thumbprint. You don't even need to wake up for this, sweetheart, she murmured, an eerie smile playing on her lips. Just one little mark, and everything will belong to me." She took his limp hand, pressed his thumb to an ink pad and guided it onto the paper with deliberate precision. Suddenly, click, the door swung open. Maya stood there, her eyes sharp as a blade, her presence sucking the air out of the room. For a second, the only sound was the steady beep, beep, beep of the heart monitor. "Arrest her," Maya said coldly, pointing directly at Vanessa. "She's behind everything." Gasps echoed from the doorway as two uniformed officers stepped inside. Vanessa's eyes widened for a fraction of a second before she plastered on a sweet, practiced smile. "Officers, this is a misunderstanding. Leon loves me. We were just—" "Whatever you say or do," the taller officer interrupted, stepping forward, "will be used against you in the court of law." As they reached for her arms, Vanessa twisted away, her heels scraping the floor. "Wait, you can't just—" The second officer held her firmly. "Ma'am, you have the right to remain silent." More gasps came from nurses peeking in from the hallway, one whispering, "Is that the woman from the news?" Another murmured, "I knew she was trouble." Maya folded her arms, watching as Vanessa's mask began to crack. "You nearly destroyed him, but now it's over." And with that, the officers escorted Vanessa out, her perfume still lingering like poison in the air. A few days later, the truth began to unravel like a badly sewn thread. One of Leon's most trusted senior staff members at Sterling Corporation, Mr. Amika, had been silently pulling the strings all along. For years, he had hidden behind loyalty, but in reality, he had been plotting Leon's downfall. His motive was simple: greed and revenge. He wanted Leon dead so he could take over the corporation entirely. Planting Vanessa in Leon's life to become his wife was the perfect move. With her inside the family, gathering secrets, sowing distrust and manipulating events, taking Leon down became far easier. The fake Maya video had been his idea. The hospital visit had been their opportunity to transfer all Leon's assets to them. But just when he thought he'd won, the walls closed in. Investigators traced the payment for the Maya lookalike to a private account connected to Mr. Amika. Surveillance footage tied Vanessa to multiple secret meetings with him. Phone records exposed their conversations planning Leon's ruin. The girl impersonating Maya, Vanessa, and Mr. Amika were all arrested and charged in court for conspiracy, fraud, and defamation. When the judge denied their bail, the media called it the Sterling betrayal scandal. They were all put behind bars, their once confident faces now pale with defeat. Leon, now fully recovered, could hardly believe the betrayal had been sitting so close to him all along. But this time, he promised himself he would rise again, stronger, wiser, and untouchable. 6 months later, the storm had long passed. Mr. Leon and Maya had fully recovered, the shadows of betrayal and chaos replaced with warmth and laughter. Their home was once again a place of peace, filled with the smell of fresh flowers Maya loved to arrange, and the soft sound of Leon's humming as he read in the evening. Maya had returned to her beautiful, vibrant life, her smile no longer forced, but full of light. Leon's laughter, once rare, now filled the rooms like music. Both had healed, emotionally, mentally, and physically, stronger than they had ever been. They had faced storms that could have destroyed them, yet here they stood, hand in hand, not as victims of their past, but as victors of their present. Sometimes, life's deepest pain becomes the soil for its sweetest joy. Hello, beloved viewers. Remember, home isn't a place. It's the people who never give up on you. Subscribe for more. See you in the next one. Goodbye.